Hello and welcome to the new episode of Spookier Times, a podcast of horror, gothic, and weird fiction across media. I am your host, Robert J. Gannon. You can find me there at all social media. My home base is sketchingdetails.com. We post articles 5 days a week looking at horror, sci-fi, fantasy across all media. And welcome to the first ever winter holiday special at Spookier Times. I'm going to be discussing one of my favorite holiday horror movie tropes, the evil Santa Claus. This is not the most popular genre, but when it does come out, it always makes a splash. There's always a huge media press junket if these don't get any attention, because people are horrified that someone would do this to Santa. Santa is an icon for children. He is their hero. He is their everything. We fully support Santa Claus and celebrating Christmas at Spookier Times and Sketching Details. However, horror cannot be afraid of going there. And the idea of making a film built around a character who has the ability to enter any home he wants to in the middle of the night is a good source of scary material. We're not saying that Santa Claus is scary or evil. We're saying that someone like a Santa Claus could cause trouble. One of my favorite holiday specials, forget evil Santa Claus, forget horror, forget genre fiction, is writer-director Lewis Jackson's Christmas Evil. This film from 1980 is the third and final film Lewis Jackson ever made. He never really had success in filmmaking, and he left the industry after this film. It was not well received by critics at all. It was not what they thought it was going to be. It was marketed as a slasher film, and it's not. It's one of the few evil Santa stories that isn't a slasher film. What it is a story of childhood trauma and ambition. It has the same setup as I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus. It's the easiest way to describe it. A boy wakes up early on Christmas morning and sees his mom fully embraced by Santa Claus and so much more underneath the Christmas tree. He is horrified. He doesn't know what he saw. He doesn't understand. What is mommy doing? Why is Santa Claus there? Where is his dad? What happened to his life? Snap forward to the future, and this man has decided he will become Santa Claus. He lives in isolation on the top floor of an apartment building, watching the people around him creating a naughty and nice list. He even works in a toy factory. This is the year he will become Santa Claus, and no one will stop him. Christmas Evil is, I'm not going to lie, it's one of the films I always cry watching. And I watch it every year. It is so heartwarming and inspiring and scary in equal measure. It's not a slasher film, it's a psychological horror story about trauma and growth and trying to become who you want to be. And it's tragic because it might be cute for this man to dress up as Santa Claus on Christmas Eve or even Christmas morning. But if he's serious about this, imagine him in April or May or June walking down the street in a red suit with a white fur trim. Imagine what people are going to do to him. Hasn't he suffered enough? Can't we protect this poor man? I don't want to give anything away. This film is magical in ways I struggle to describe. It is one of my favorite holiday films. It's right up there with A Muppet Christmas Carol. Like, that's the level of quality we're talking about here. And it's a shame that has a reputation as a slasher film when it's not. There's no shame in being a slasher, but there is shame in lying on a film. I think lying about the genre of a film should put you on the naughty list for the year. Give Christmas Evil a try. We interrupt the deep dive to announce an exciting project. My first full-length collection of horror criticism comes out tomorrow as an ebook on all platforms. It's called Hashtag 31 Days, a collection of horror essays, Volume 1. And it is inspired by my annual Hashtag 31 Days of Horror challenge. I collected all those essays from that year, plus a bunch of bonus content, including essays and recaps on the entire Masters of Horror series, going into the directors, the writers, the screenplay, all the stuff you need to know, and all the Showtime drama. There are 65 new, expanded, and revised essays in this collection, including a massive recommendation section where I take every title I discuss and pinpoint one or two other things you should watch or read if you're interested in that. It's going to be available on all platforms. I will say the best place to buy it is my coffee shop, ko-fi.com/Robert J. Gannon. As the publisher and the author of the book, it is the only place where I get all the proceeds from the sale. You can get it at Smashwords, you can get it at Barnes & Noble, you can get it at all these other retailers. It is available on Amazon as an ebook, and it will be available everywhere as an audiobook. Please don't buy it on Amazon. One, they're a terrible company. Two, they pay less than any other platform to the author if you're not a major publisher. I get a 30% cut of the book sale. And I do not feel comfortable charging more than $12 for an ebook of criticism. That's just where I'm at. I don't feel good about charging more. So you can do the math. Most sites are 50, 60, 70%. Amazon is 30%. It is corrupt. It takes advantage of people. It is pure exploitation. But if you don't promote your work on Amazon, it doesn't go anywhere because that's where people buy books now. It sucks. We're trapped in this loop of Amazon is terrible, but that's where everyone goes. So, the book comes out tomorrow. Sorry for the high horse. The book comes out tomorrow. I encourage you getting it on Coffee. Everything there is going to be DRM free. You get a PDF and an EPUB if you buy the book. You get the full audiobook if you buy the audiobook. And for $16, you can get a bundle of the book and the audiobook. Anyway, moving on, ironically, to today's story, which is available exclusively on Amazon. It's called Lights Off, and it is my worst reviewed horror story for a really funny reason. The person who reviewed it based off of Kindle Unlimited, where you can read it for free, their review basically said, I like it, but it's too short. 1 out of 5 stars. Okay. Lights Off. The holidays ended in December. There was no denying that. Still, Dennis wished he could just leave the lights on the house a little while longer. All it took was a letter from the Homeowners Association to get him to buckle. He couldn't afford a $1,000 fine for not meeting the appearance standards of the neighborhood. Dennis wasn't sure how the unpowered miniature LED bulbs clipped into the gutter violated the rules. The HOA didn't care to explain either. The commandment came down from on high, like mandatory house colors and approved mailbox designs. The 12-foot ladder out behind the shed would make quick work of taking the lights down. Dennis was careful in his placement. Heaven forbid a wire swung too low and stressed the delicate constitutions of the HOA board. Every gap was clipped with care to the gutter. The precision twinkled just so on the dark holiday nights. Appearances make for a model citizen around here. Dennis couldn't control the weather. How was he to know that New Year's Day would be followed by natural ice rinks forming all over the neighborhood? The past few winters had been mild. Forecasters called for sun and chilly days, not rain and frozen nights. It was cold. Cold enough to stop the animals from crying and the neighbors' kids from playing. Cold enough to make no layer of clothing warm enough to really buffer the sharp chill of the air. Dennis's hands were already sore from moving the ladder to the front of the house. The ideal method would be moving the ladder every few feet and unhooking the wires by hand. Dennis would be able to save the perfect cuts of wire and put the lights up faster at the end of the year. Everything would be wrapped, labeled, and stored for the ages. It was practically his duty to strive for that level of perfection. He was new to the area and still had to prove his commitment to the community. It's not like Dennis hated the area. The HOA ran a beautiful little haven from the chaos of the world. Everything was neat. There was enough stress in life without having to wrestle with inane details like grass length and mulch. The ideal method was not ideal today. The sun was coming down fast and the temperature dropping faster. By tomorrow, the fine would be official. Fast would have to replace good. The wind fought the trees as Dennis leaned the ladder against the roof. The pitch wasn't so steep that he couldn't scuttle across and snip the wires right off the gutter. Not moving the ladder would cut the job down to 10 minutes, tops. Dennis tightened his scarf and clambered up the rungs. Easy. The new shingles provided a lot of grip for his boots. Score 1 for the exacting standards of the HOA. The ground seemed further away than Dennis imagined. It looked worse with his face in the gutter snipping art wire from Christmas lights. The cement walkway glimmered in the fading light from the lingering frost on the ground. At least the lights were up in an easy pattern. One straight line across the gutter stopping right at the steep pitch above the door. There was no safe way to decorate up there anyway. Too high. Speed won out. Dennis was halfway across the roof in only 4 minutes. A loose pile of wires and lights lingered behind him. He'd have to toss the whole bundle down before crawling back to the ladder to be safe. It was colder on the roof. At least the ground had some trees and the house to buffer the wind. The shallow angle pushed the wind harder against Dennis's exposed flesh. His hands felt numb from the sharp chill of the wire snips. Now was not the time to let a little arthritis get the best of him. A quick stretch, and Dennis could finish the rest in comparable comfort. He leaned up towards the falling sun and imagined the distant heat broiling his flesh to the bone. His joints popped as he twisted, sending shivers down his spine. His back was dripping in sweat. This was more work than he thought. He dropped back to his knees and reached for the next wire. It slipped past his grip as his body slid toward the ground. A small patch of ice sent him into the hard concrete below. The pain was dull, no worse than the ache in his hand from the lights. Still, Dennis felt it best to stay still. He needed to remain calm. He needed the adrenaline to stop surging. He needed to relax to feel his body. He needed to center. He needed to breathe. He stared at the sun blinking below his neighbor's house. Peaceful, warm, inviting, grounded, hard, tingly, stiff, soft, smooth, numb. His eyes closed. His breathing slowed. His body fell to a warm, smooth rhythm of tingles and twitches. It was nicer than he thought. So serene, so peaceful, so relaxing. Who cared about a fine? The HOA could never bother him when he felt like this. Calm, warm, tired. The lights could wait for a little nap under the sun. That was Lights Off, an original short story. You can find it on Amazon, and it is part of the Kindle Unlimited program. Finally, we are up to our recommendations, and I have but one recommendation for you in this Evil Santa-themed episode. American Dad has some of the best animated specials for the Christmas in all modern television. The show did not start off in a very great place. Critics were not kind, fans, they tuned in, but they weren't as happy. Everyone pinned it as a Family Guy clone because Seth MacFarlane made both. It was a very different show even from the start. It was driven by references to movies and theater in ways that just made me happy. And the early holiday specials are great. There's one like It's a Wonderful Life. There's some time travel one. There's kind of a spin on A Christmas Carol. And then they struck gold. In one holiday special, Stan decides it is time for Steve, his son, to learn how to shoot a gun. They go out back behind the mall, and Steve accidentally kills a mall Santa. The Smith family don't want to deal with the legal repercussions, so they hide the body in the woods and pretend nothing happened. And then they find out it's the real Santa Claus. And he has sworn vengeance on them. And he will come back every Christmas Eve and have until sunrise on Christmas morning to destroy them. Listen, there's a place for your Charlie Brown Christmas specials. I love them. I love all this kind of stuff. Frosty the Snowman, chef's kiss. But American Dad is making new miniature Die Hard movies every Christmas, and the stars are Santa Claus and a family fighting against him. It is hilarious. It is over the top. There's even a musical episode where Steve gets kidnapped by Krampus, so Stan has to work with Santa Claus to bring him back. It is wild. Watch it as its own miniseries. Forget about the rest of the show. You figure out who the characters are soon enough. It's a broad sitcom. The Santa Claus specials, the evil Santa specials in American Dad, are peak holiday entertainment. That is going to be it for this episode of Spookier Times, a podcast of horror, gothic, and weird fiction. Once again, I am Robert J. Gann, and you can find me there on all social media, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, you name it, you'll find me there. The book, hashtag 31 Days, a collection of horror essays, volume 1, comes out on all platforms as an ebook and audiobook tomorrow. I am really excited for you to pick that up. It is going to cost $12 for the book or the audiobook, or if you get it on Ko-fi, you can get a bundle of both for $16. Until next time, have a wonderful holidays, stay safe, be kind to each other, and cry while watching Christmas Evil like I do. I will not be alone on this.